was great, but he is a guest host. But he did bring it. He did bring the peeps, right? So he did bring a good amount of people into the stream, and I appreciate that. And we had a good stream without you on some great topics last week. And I think it's a format that we'll do because obviously you and I won't always be on the program, so we'll have to bring somebody in for one of us or the other when somebody like you takes a vacation, right?
Yes. Or, I'm at a saltwater aquarium trade show and, a knee deep and getting coverage of the show. You never know.
But I did this today in honor of two things. I wore the shirt I did today, okay? This is an authentic from North Shore of Kauai, okay? Hawaiian shirt that I got up there near, where the Puff Magic Dragon is from, the land of Hanalei. And I wore that in honor of you coming back from Hawaii, and also because today is the first day of spring, is it not? I think it is, isn't it? Or is it tomorrow? I always get it wrong. Is it 20th or 21st? It's one of them.
Good enough.
It's good enough.
Somewhere. Spring. We don't need any more winter.
Somewhere it's spring on the earth right now. So that's it. And exactly. I also went from the beverage side, Mark. I made a tropical beverage today in honor of you coming back from Hawaii. So, I thought that was kind of fun.
What is it? How do you make it? Like people, they always want to know what you're drinking. You can't just be like, I made a drink.
I come up with stuff all the time. This is just a kind of a tropical concoction that in my cocktail shaker, I throw equal parts of Malibu pineapple, Malibu coconut, Midori, and regular, silver Bacardi rum, along with fresh squeezed orange juice, and shake that up in the shaker. And that's about as tropical a drink as you can get. And it'll also be a buzz if you drink more than one that you won't even know is coming on because it's so sickening sweet. I mean, just even the liquor. But I thought it'd be good for today because I'm always drinking those old fashions. But yeah, there's some stuff going on this week in reef keeping, and there's some stuff that we've brought up weeks ago that has not yet been resolved. I just add that to the kind of the set list a few minutes ago. But first, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you first. And where did you go in Hawaii? People want to know: is it worthwhile? Is it worthwhile for them to go? Is there any cool diving? I know you and I are both like Fiji nuts now. Once we've been to Fiji, nothing else. Everything is by that bar now. So tell us about it.
Hawaii is, in a lot of ways, it's great. I mean, it's the United States. So if you're concerned about traveling internationally, which I can understand, at least, the first time you do it, it's easy to get to. 5 hours off the California coast. You don't need a passport. Everyone speaks English. The locals are pretty friendly. And, it's easy to get around. It's nice. It's clean. There's nothing in the water that's really out there to eat you. And the coral is, in a lot of ways, predictable. There's not that much variety, but when you find a good coral patch, there's usually lots of it, which is what I found. I went diving and then took the kids snorkeling at the same place because there was fields of coral, of 2 or 3, maybe 4 different varieties.
And you were on Oahu, right?
I was on Maui. I was on the west coast.
That's right. You went to Oahu as well. I saw your Facebook post. But so where exactly in Maui were you? I mean, north, south, east, west kind of thing.
West side, Kanapali.
Okay.
So I was over there. There's some diving on the east side that I've done. But I was there with my father, who's 73 and likes what he likes and didn't want to make the drive to go to the east side. So it's good. We saw plenty of yellow tangs, some, yellow tangs as big as dinner plates, some small yellow tangs. Saw some fish that I used to be able to keep in my saltwater tank that you can't collect there anymore. I ran into a whole bunch of potter's wrasses, which was really cool. I'd actually never seen that fish in the wild before, maybe because I didn't know to look for it.
Yeah.
But saw some Naso tangs, did not see any Achilles tangs where I was. No, I didn't dive. Yeah, I didn't dive in a big region because I only dove 2 days. And my father said,
out by Molokini, I saw a bunch of Achilles when I was out there. Up by Molokini.
Yeah, I used to see them back when I went in the 90s. Didn't see them this time. So for what that means, but did talk to some people. They wanted to know what I did. I told them I was in the saltwater aquarium world, and they instantly like all the fish die and the transport to your tanks. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
And then they said, hey, would you like to come to a barbecue? We're having some Achilles tang.
Yeah. So it was good. You're right. Once you've been to Fiji, it's like going from the reef tank you see behind Terence to a fish only tank. still nice, still lots to appreciate, but you're like, okay, this is different. So I went into it knowing it would be different. I would like to branch out. I'd love to go over to the Big Island. I hear that there's great diving over there, especially you can get in with the manta rays. So if anyone on the stream knows the places to go on Oahu, or maybe I need to go somewhere totally different, let me know, because my father would like to go back. And if I go back, I'd like to see something different
Right.
at a different part of the island. So it was good. It's good to be back. And now, back to the grind, back to the real world, back to the Reefing Report.
Yeah.
And,
The ease of Hawaii is the attractiveness of getting there and everything else. And from all the years and all the times I've been, I'm not like crapping on Hawaii. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's a great place to relax. The water's warm compared to here in California, and there's lots to see and all of that. But from a reef keeper's perspective, I guess the way I could put it to people is, and even from a cost perspective, it's not really that much more to go to Fiji. It's a little more time. Obviously, you have to have a passport. But from a reef keeper's perspective, you're going to see like this, that I have behind me in Fiji, and it's going to blow your mind. You're going to love Hawaii, and it's great, right? But the Fiji thing it can't even be explained. It's like the first time I went to Lake Powell, right? I've been in Utah for a while, and everybody told me you got to go to Lake Powell, and these are the same people that said, sometimes they recommend a restaurant, and just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And because it's a drive, to go from Salt Lake there, but once you go, you're like, whoa, what was I doing not going here? And that's Fiji.
Yep.
So, but
Yeah.
glad to have you back, and glad you had a good time with the family and everything, and met all those nice anti-aquarium people in Hawaii. So now let's get on with the show.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of slapping reality. I mean, Tal was asking about what do we know about the bill, and that's one of the things we want to talk about this week was that bill is still out there.
Yeah,
About
we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, putting the fish on the whitelist. And now Masna has come out and said, here's our official position on it, and PJAC has come out and said, here's a form that you can fill out.
Yeah, so
help,
I know we gave I think in an episode we actually let me go back here. I got to put us on the right scene here. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, AR15 on the front page of Reefing Report. We'll get to that later too. So we gave kind of Mazin a little bit of a hard time because they were a little late to the game and even having some sort of comment on it. But they did make a lengthy position statement. I'm not going to obviously dig deep into it here, but it is out there on Reef to Rainforest. I do recommend anybody go out and read all of the information that they can on this particular kind of attack on many hobbies, not just the saltwater aquarium hobby. So you can go out and read about that off of the reefingreport.com. And PJAC is the one who's coordinating all of the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council, is coordinating all of the efforts. And so they do have now a form, and this is again on the top of the Reefing Report. There's a link there that you can go to and fill out a form, and they will send it automatically to all of your you don't want to see that. That's all my personal details, which you could probably search for anyway on the internet and get. But yeah, Pete, if you go to that link, they made it super easy for you to fill in the information and put a note in there saying, try to come up with whatever your compelling reason is for wanting to be in the hobby, right? Whether it's the science aspect, for your kids, STEM for your young girls, like Mark has a young girl, and for science and stuff for them, or if you're in the industry, saying how you're supporting your family by, being part of the industry, and this would be a complete blow to what you do. And take the time to go do that. As far as where things are right now, it's over in the Senate, and they will be reconciling the two bills that they have and throwing in and throwing out language. I think my aspect on this is not changed, which is I don't believe that doesn't mean don't take action, because taking action is good, not just for this one, but also so that they're kind of prepped for it when the next one comes around. But I don't believe this one will stand as it is because of a ton of other stuff in there and a lot of implications. But the hobby in general has to come around and do smarter things, all the way around. What you think, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see some action being taken, and we're 3, maybe 4 weeks out from this now. For a lot of people, they've forgotten about it, or they continue
Right.
to assume nothing's going to happen. But it's like this. I feel like this should have been put up 2 days after this was breaking news as something to to do.
Yeah, but at the same time, maybe the timing is super important too, because if it was 3 weeks ago and they're really not acting on it yet, it'd go in and go out of their mailbox. But now that they're, taking a look at this stuff, it's very timely to see your mailboxes get barraged at the exact time people are starting to talk about what they're going to do with this bill that just came in from the House that's now in the Senate.
Yeah, good
And
point. Did not think of it that way. And certainly, again, want to reiterate what you said, Terrence. Like this isn't, even though it was a couple of weeks ago, doesn't mean it's off the radar. Doesn't mean we need to not do anything. We
right.
still need to be clear that there's a voice out there that needs to be heard, and we're not just no one in in an echo chamber kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you get tons and tons of this stuff coming in, the next time that one of, as a member of Congress, the next time that one of your colleagues comes across with a piece of legislation or an idea to put something in, you might give it a little harder thought, than you would have if you'd never seen such a waterfall. So definitely go out there, go out to the reefingreport.com and fill that out. And while I'm on the topic, and I've got the website up for those of you who have something interesting to tell us out there, tip us off. There's a tip us off link up in the upper right. You can also get to all of our recent live streams up there. If you want to donate and become an ongoing donor for the Reefing Report to basically, this is not something Mark and I are getting rich off of. I can assure you, I don't know that it'll ever be anything that we're going to make a significant amount of money on, but it would be nice that we don't have to pull out of our pocket just for the operating costs. So there is an amount of operating costs for software gear, the software I use to drive the stream, to put out the streams and all of that. So that is very nice. And we really appreciate all of you who are Patreons right now. And if you watched the lead in, we actually let our Patreon members select the music for the lead in. And, sound off here too, if that was too long of a lead in. We like to build an audience, but it's a fine balance between having too much and not enough. So definitely want to hear from you. So what's up next, Mark?
And I mean, we're kind of recapping things we did, talking about the House bill. There's a vibrant issue we talked about a couple of weeks ago, so that's still out there. We're still waiting to hear the real news on that.
The latest I heard is that there's some other individuals have done some more testing themselves. Can't remember the name of the testing itself, the acronym, but the same kind of testing that the one person out there on Taricha, I think he goes by on Reef to Reef, did originally to start this whole thing up. I think it's up to like 57 pages. I was looking at it today.
Wow.
The real update is that it still points to there being, basically an algaecide. It doesn't mean that there's not bacteria necessarily, and some other internet people, including Telegram, Jim Graham, has done a series of different bacteria, swipes on, on little petri dish things to grow bacteria, and has actually kind of somewhat consistently grown bacteria in both the algae fix from API as well as the vibrant stuff. So it's interesting. I don't know how telling it exactly is. But the manufacturer, Jeff from Underwater Creations, did come on to, a number of weeks ago, said they're going to do some more testing. And they did the testing. And now the latest post that he put up says, well, they want to be able to tell you something, but first his lawyers have to clear it. And they're reading through all the posts on this thread first before they give him the okay to do so. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, I know. It's definitely a scrunchy face there. And Randy Holmes Farley, I think, spoke to or chatted or texted. I don't know how he communicated with him yesterday, maybe again, and is still not ready to put the information out. So and that thread is lively, let me tell you.
I mean, it's like everyone's like walking on eggshells, like, oh, we don't want to say the wrong thing. But if you're presenting facts, then
yeah, and unfortunately, they've been fairly straightforward with commenting and saying what is or isn't something in the past. So that doesn't bode well for them this time either. I have asked Jeff, I believe 2 or 3 times, if he wants to come on the program and have a neutral place to get just give up the information how he wants, and we can talk about it, and maybe we'll have somebody else on that can then refute his information or whatever. I don't know, but kind of like a real news program. And
I was gonna. I mean, it's an open platform to say what you want.
yeah,
And I mean, I can see where he would want to do that, and at the same time, like maybe he's waiting for the attorney script or the PR person script, but okay.
it's possible he overstepped his bounds before, realized it, and now he's got legal counsel that's telling him not to do anything. Who knows? Anyway, I mean that's where that thing is, and don't know where it's going to resolve. But if you stay tuned here, and onto the reefingreport.com. When we hear something, you'll hear something, and we'll put it out there. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the vibrant thing.
All right. Well, there's also the Tropic Marin thing, which has been out in the industry about, they've come out, and a lot of retailers are taking back the salt now. We continue to ask Tropic Marin if they want to come on the show, which they said they really want to do. I've been talking with Lou, and he's just wanting to make sure he has everything, dotted, do the research, and have data to give to us, which isn't a bad thing. We'd rather have them present facts than just say something to say something. That never works out well.
But it is two different worlds, right? It is two different worlds, at least in my opinion, with the Tropic Marin thing, which is, immediately it's, something's wrong. Immediately, we don't know exactly what it is, but we know where it came from. We're shutting it down, and we'll give you more information later on. That's not exactly even close to the vibrant issue. And and also the returning and giving back, your bad salt to get new or however they're doing it is something also that I think is commendable, especially for something that's so huge and weighs so much, and shipping costs and everything else. Can you tell us, Mark? I mean, has it been a large amount of people, since you have the connection with saltwateraquarium.com? I mean, without obviously giving away anything you shouldn't, but I mean, just in a relative sense, is like, wow, that's less than I thought it would have been, or wow, that's way more people than I thought it'd be.
I mean, it's been about in line, I think. A lot of people are still finding out about it, or don't have quite the right story. So we just want to make sure that the vehicle is right for that, so they can get, refunds handled. The good news is a fair amount of people have been saying, hey, I heard about it. I don't want to take a risk. I haven't had any problems, but go ahead, and let's get this return, fixed. So it's another one of those things where I'm glad to see how they treated it. And it's like, will we ever know if that one salt actually wiped out every single one of these tanks that's directly traceable to it? I mean, it seems like, give it 2 years, we're probably in the same place talking about another thing that everyone's going to point at and say this killed everything.
Yeah, and I mean, the only way that ever changes, right, is if you had somebody that could definitively prove that they didn't do anything different in their aquarium at all for this period of
time. The biology didn't change.
Nothing changed. I just moved to my newest, box of Tropic Marin salt, and everything died. Okay. I think if I were the company and somebody could prove that, I'd probably, want to dig into that one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I think
we all know reef tanks, right? Like, I went away for 10 days. I didn't change anything on my tank. I wasn't even in the picture. All the housekeeper did was feed the fish, and I lost 2 corals, which have been doing great for a couple months. Nothing changed.
Yeah.
And we all know that can happen, which if you're a new reefer, you'll probably experience that. Hang on. If you're an analytical type, it'll drive you crazy. But if you've been in this long enough, sometimes it just happens.
That's right. That is absolutely right. I just like my corals to be such a mess that when one dies, I don't even know that it died. And they're just intertwined with each other. It's just like, take a look. Oh, good.
Well, I mean, we can count how many dead coral we find when we upgrade your tank, Terrence.
Oh, there you go.
It'll be a good thing to do.
I just actually cleaned my my wave pumps. I have seven wave pumps in here, I think. And I just finally cleaned them yesterday. And it was crazy how bad they were.
Okay. I mean, how many times have you told people they need to clean their wave pumps, Terrence? And you've never done it until now? How long have you had them? A couple of years?
Yeah, there's definitely an amount of the cobbler's children who have no shoes with me. That is for sure. But now the flow is back, as they say, and things are going good. I actually run a couple of them without a grate on it, and I have not Bassomatic the fish yet. So I mean, that's because they just
Which,
keep running. The problem is when people run those like long pulses and then the fish goes in, or they turn them off during a feed mode or something, and the fish then.
just let them run.
I mean, the thing is that if they don't have a grate, there's like nothing even for the fish to sit on, really. And if there's no grate, then it's not like a meat slicer at at the deli,
As I mean, I don't. That's a great point. I tell people, don't turn your pumps off if you want to turn them down. But I don't even like to do that. I
Yeah.
have enough fish that I need all the flow I can get to blow the food all over the place. So all the different fish, because not every fish comes and runs up and gets in with your other fish to eat. You need it to blow around. So that doesn't mean you need to like litter your tank with food. If anything, you can back off your food a little bit,
Right.
because you're blowing it around.
Yep. And look, this is Burnt Squirrel here. Love that name, Burnt Squirrel. So this is
Burnt
hawkfish.
squirrel.
Hawkfish love getting minced in the pumps when they shut off. Yeah, don't shut them off then. There you go.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's
good.
hilarious.
That is a good one.
Wow.
But the tank is doing well. So I got to clean it once in a while. And they never go back in the same place. And the funny thing was, I know we're supposed to be talking about the news, but I guess me cleaning my pumps is news. So
Yeah.
so I'm like going through my Apex list, right? And I'm like, okay, there's this one, that one, that one, that one. And I'm counting them in the tank, and I'm like, where's the 8th one? There's not an 8th one in the tank. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember where, because I'm looking for it all over the tank. Turns out it was in my salt mix container. I completely forgot about it, but it was bugging me. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
You use a wave pump to mix salt. Most of us would like throw in an MJ1200 or like a Mag 9 and let it and heat up our mixing vat.
Oh, the beautiful
Terrence
part is
throws
that
in a
they
wave
shut
pump.
themselves off, right, when they get dry. So when you're when you drain that tank down, it turns itself off effectively, and you don't have that problem with burning up a pump. So
that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day.
I'm a lazy guy, man. I'm a lazy guy. Oh, I'll give a nice plug here for Seche for their. I used their pump clean stuff, that Steve sent out to me, and it worked. Now, in all transparency, so does a bag of citric, powdered citric acid. So, convenient stuff, worked great. Don't know if anything else is in the stuff, but there you go. I can vouch for the fact that it works. And
if
it was
your tank
given to me for
crashes
free,
tomorrow,
so.
then it was a pump clean, because that's the only thing that changed. If your tank crashes, it's a pump clean. That's just how it is. It's what you clean the pumps with.
Yes, 100%.
All right. So
I did see I did see, by the way, the drop in the pH because I didn't rinse the the pumps off after I was done using it, so I just dropped them in. And you can see
this is like
even in 600 gallons, you could see the pH drop like temporarily by like 0.05.
Yeah, you're a lazy reefer because you never clean them. Then you don't even rinse them before you put them back in your tank.
Why?
All right.
I don't go away for 10 days and have 2 corals die. So there you go.
You don't leave for 10 days.
That's true. Yet.
It's
coming up though. Okay.
It's coming up. All right. So
back to the news.
The big news. Let's say, well, I'll be fair. Well, the big news of the week is that Randy from Randy Reefer from the BRS TV guys, he is moving on to do a separate channel, not a BRS, not even a saltwater aquarium channel. Actually, a channel about
let's
AR-15s.
see if it's gonna work. Let's see if. Of course, I'm gonna get an ad first, right?
I mean, yeah, like force your audience to sit through an ad.
Okay, let's see if this works.
The other one is like, okay, so we have Neptune and Ecotech now under the umbrella, and they could use some help in their YouTube presence or kind of do what we do for them. Maybe he's going to Neptune, or maybe he's going to run Ecotech's channel. I'm sorry to say that that's not the answer either.
Nope.
That is not it. So,
it's actually better.
Yeah. So what could I be doing? The answer is yes, it's true. It's in the description. I found an opportunity that's 5 minutes away from my house as far as a commute. It's a budding company, up and coming, young company, but they've realized that video can really help shape the direction of like an e-commerce company, especially in the hobby space like what we do. And so I'm going to
sure.
AT3 Tactical. It's
Subscribe.
it's down below if you want to check it out. You can subscribe if you're into AR-15s, but it is a hobby. AR-15s is a hobby. The guns, accessorizing them,
Who needs
and
a gun
just
like
learning
that
about
anyway?
them. And so the AT3
There we
Tactical
go.
is laser focused on beginners of the AR-15 world, the accessories, learning about them.
There you
And I
go.
have 16 years military experience with that one weapon, so
There you
I
go.
know it inside and out. And
So the news is Randy is going to the Ukraine. No,
Ah!
no, that's not the
Well,
news.
that would anything would help, right?
That is, yeah, no kidding, right? So, but Randy is going to, I think it's called AT3. They make all kinds of accessories for AR-15s, red dot scopes, all the cool stuff you can bolt on, just like in the picture. Yeah, so that's where he's moving on to. I mean, after a while, maybe the hobby got a little stale for him. What do you think, Mark? What do you think's the reason, I mean, for him to move on?
I'm going to go for the jugular here and cut to the chase because that's how I am. I think this has been a product of getting bought by a bigger company. The bean counters come in, the culture of the company gets changed or gutted. And what was fun in a small community is now feels like a corporate job. That would be my guess. And you get to go work for something that is another hobby of yours, another passion, which is great. Sounds like a small company, which probably maybe it's the same kind of experience. BRS back in the day. I mean, I don't work for BRS. I don't know. I've heard things about how it's changed since then. I can understand how we would feel that way. I certainly enjoy being on the small business team, family-owned business team. If I was stuck in a corporate job, I may think about leaving as well. So I could relate if that's what it is.
Well, I spoke with Randy myself. I can't obviously dig into any of that discussion because it was, mostly in confidence. But before he gave me his thoughts, I did make guesses to him to see how, how much spot on am I. One of them was the one that you suggested, which is, the company is changing, and the company, I mean, BRS has been changing not just in the last year after acquisition, but even up to that, right? It's what
Sure.
happens when companies get bigger and things change and whatnot. My also speculation on this was that it's a taxing job too, right? Having to keep coming up with content. You and I both know that, right? It's just ongoing. And then once you've gone over, something, how many times can you possibly go over it again and again and again to where it's kind of a grind and it's not something new and cool and interesting anymore? And just from a career growth perspective, my guess had been that he's got skills now and he knows how to do things on his own, and wants to step out from the shadow of Ryan, who's definitely mentored him in incredible ways, along with the rest of the crew there at BRS in the social media space. And so, now he can go out and go to another small company and basically take his quiver of arrows and show what he can do at another place, which, I know both of us know what that feels like, to take something that's nothing and turn it into something and feel the accomplishment,
Sure.
behind it.
Yeah.
And so that's good. And I'm really, really happy for him. I mean, as far as BRS is concerned in general, they're in kind of a weird space content-wise. I feel right now in terms of where does it go? There was a lot of stuff to do that took a number of years to get through, and then they went through it kind of all again and went through it all again a third time to refine all of the things that you and I know that get covered from an educational standpoint. And now where do they go? Where does Ryan go? Is there another sidekick? Is it just Ryan? That's going to be an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, I'll branch out here and give Ryan 12 to 18 months, and then I think he will check out and move on.
Okay, yeah, that may be
Totally
the case.
separate conversation, but I think, yeah. And again, I don't blame him. I don't blame either of them. I understand finding a new passion. Look, I hated the job I was in before I started Mr. Saltwater Tank. So I get it. I understand the excitement of something new, big or small company. So best of luck to him. I'm not an AR guy. I don't have a problem with him. It's just not my hobby, but I might go keep an eye on that and see where he goes with it and see how that channel grows. Maybe another success story for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some ideas of content that I think would be pretty spectacular for worldwide corals.
Well-
Or sorry, not worldwide corals, but I saw worldwide corals on the screen. I had it in the brain, but for BRS. But I'm here and they're there. So
That's like, oh hi, you could. Never mind. I'm just gonna go over here. But
Yeah. And
Yeah.
here's the funniest one. Mo Reefs actually came up with one of the funniest ones because I have the little inside talk on this one too about the Halloween costumes that they had to wear. That's what made him leave. Was all the costumes that Randy had to leave. That's the best comment yet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know Randy personally, but I mean, I'll do anything for a laugh, and certainly if it draws audience, so it wouldn't bother me. But I could understand if you're not into that. Yeah, that could get a little old.
Yeah, Emmanuel on here says, why speculate on why he left? Well, because this is what news is. I mean, this is what we do here is discuss things. And unlike, the mystery around why I left Neptune, which had, some really crazy stuff there that wasn't exactly positive. This is all positive talk, in my opinion, on speculating and understanding the reasons behind it. And you know what? He wants to be out of the space, but if Randy wants to come on the program down the road and talk about something and maybe be a guest host, there we go. Okay.
Wow.
That would be fun.
Well, Terrence, we all know you left Neptune because you wouldn't clean your wave pumps. They asked you to clean your wave pumps and you just wouldn't do it. So you had to leave the company before you actually do it.
No, I just couldn't keep a reef tank. That's why. I didn't hit the bar.
Speaking of keeping a reef tank, there was a news story we covered this week, which seems small.
Okay.
And at the same time, I'm like, this is fantastic. One of those, why didn't I think of that moments, which is these meaty reactors. Some meaty reactors have screw-on tops, like the two little fishies.
Yes, this one. Yes.
Yep, the World exclusive guys. And then a lot of them have thumb screws, MRC ones that I've used in the past, Bashy ones, Geo ones. They have those thumb screws. And a lot of people say it hurts their fingers. Now, you don't have to put them on there that tight, but okay, I get it. And then the slide lock stuff came out, and I'm like, this is great. I talked to Ken at Saltwater. I'm like, get me these. I want to try them. If they work, I'll buy 200 of them and replace every thumb screw anywhere around my tank or my client's tank. So it's, instead of having the thumb screw where you got to screw it in,
it's basically like a seat post thing on your bike. That's basically what it is. Yeah. If you think about the cam lock on your bike's seat post, where you tighten it to a certain amount and then you clamp it down to get that last bit of tension. That's what you do. Now, I will say that I am a little bit concerned because there are a lot of people out there who aren't super wise. We're dealing with acrylic here, and just like on the bike thing, you can tighten that thing up pretty tight before you go to the cam lock side, and then you cam lock, grind that thing down. You're going to break some acrylic. You're going to crack some acrylic.
Absolutely. I thought of that, in that you can crank it down hard. And the truth is, you don't have to crank down your thumb screws hard. So that should be a word of caution on this product.
Yeah, but people crack it with their thumb screws, okay? Without having...
I've never done that. It hurts my hands too much before you ever get close to... It's when you like grab it with pliers, but you shouldn't... If it's leaking and you have to grab pliers, like, no, you shouldn't even have to...
Well, because you got sand in the O-ring is what it is. You got a piece of sand in the topper and the O-ring or whatever. But yeah. But these are pretty cool. I mean, we don't need their audio, but this is how they work. I don't know if full screen's gonna work on this or not. Oh, it did work. Okay.
Yeah. Look at that.
Pretty darn clever. It's got the little thing on the other end that you actually screw them down with, and then you flip it around and you do the little wedge on there, and there's how you tighten it. Did we get a price on those though? I don't know that we did.
I didn't see one.
I looked for it, and I don't remember seeing one, but I was kind of skim reading. But that's also where where it's going to matter, because I don't know. I have like 20 of those around my Geo's Reefs reactor. If these things are $12 a piece,
no, couldn't.
It's not going to be that convenient for me for $240 for my, for my reactor. So. But definitely cool. I mean, look how they just pull right off. You leave them on there. I mean, how trick is that?
Yeah. It's great. And it's like, why didn't I think of that? It's like, well, it doesn't really bother me, but it bothers plenty of my clients to have to deal with them. So I'm hoping that it's as great as it looks. But yes, you do have to be careful with this. It could be easy to crank on it. People have that tendency to want to smash on these things. So we are dealing with acrylic, not metal. Perhaps if you do strip it out, then you can, tap it and start over. But you should not have to crank on that thing that hard, but it'll definitely make it easier on your hands because you're just using torque.
Well, they probably could make these things in nylon too, right? And if you tried to crank, the bolt itself, right? And if you tried to crank it down too hard, it would just break the nylon, screw rather than mess something up. And they'd cost a lot less to make.
Make the Reefing Report edition.
There you go. Or, what, somebody on Thingiverse or whatever it is, they're going to go out and make these anyway, now that they've seen them. And these are, most likely, these have got to be patented because this is a patentable kind of thing for sure. I don't see it on here that it says it is or not, but engineered in the USA. But definitely a cool product for those of us that have reactors to get in and out of them. And what would be your price that would make it worthwhile to you? Let's see.
That's a good question. You got to think there's probably let's say at least 8 on a reactor. So if I was going to replace them, $30.
Yeah, that's what I think. So like $3.89 a pop. That's what I was thinking. Like that would be like the right amount, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, like I'm going to want to buy 100 or 200 of these things in bulk and send them to all my clients or put them on my new projects.
Yeah, definitely a cool little product that we have all of these mega products that we look at, and sometimes these little things, these little helpers, these little add-ons make a huge difference.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I will try them out. If anyone knows,
there it is.
People
Jonathan Goodwin found out the price for us. He did the work for us. Thank you, Jonathan. $30 for a pack of 6, so 5 bones a piece. So sounds like about the right price. I mean, anywhere than 5, I think we're getting out of the range.
Yeah, and I would think that most tanks, as you know, are smaller, on the smaller size, under 180 gallons, and media reactors are going to be using, probably need 6 to 8 of those, probably 6 to get the job done.
Yeah, like on a calcium reactor, I change it so infrequently, I don't think I'd use it there. But if I had a carbon reactor or something like that, that would be something we could change probably more frequently. Where else would I probably use these? I don't know.
It's not. I mean, the other thing is, it's going to make your setup look a lot more industrial. You got like these metal things with like, a locking knob. You're like,
how's that go?
Like all plastic thumbscrews. You're like,
do we have a
new carbon's in?
Oh, that's the wrong one. There it is. It sounds like I got crickets now. I can't find it right. I got to label these buttons, and the crickets can't stop. The crickets go for like 20 seconds. This is the one.
I think we need a TD. If anyone wants to apply for a TD position, free for send in your resume and your personal statement, please.
There you go. No doubt. Oh, my God.
All right. So another little invention, let's call it, or like I said, if anyone has TD experience, please send us your resume and your personal statement.
Oh, so good.
This reactor, I don't want to say reactor pump. Let me take that out. There's a pump out that we found that we thought was cool. Terrence, you're a lot more excited about this than I am. It looks like it's a vertical pump, small pump for media reactors. Nice little, got a barb fitting on it as well. I looked at it and said, like most of your media reactors, drive pumps are going to be either off your return pump, or the pump that feeds them is going to be in probably 8 inches of water because it's in your sump. But you said, you're overlooking something. Yeah.
So first of all, when I saw this, some people love to take swipes at some of the Neptune design things for whatever reason, and I take them in stride, having been involved in a lot of that, most of that. But when I saw this one, the first thing that came to mind is the children's Tylenol medicine when you were a kid, or Vicks 44B, with like the eyedropper on the top or whatever. It's all I could think about when I looked at it.
Something was bothering me about it. And you're right. I couldn't quite place it.
It's a medicine bottle from 1981 is what it looks like to me. And so that was the first part that I was just cracking up over. But, as a pump, I can't vouch for the quality of the actual pump, but I do think that there is a lot more need for these small utility pumps in a couple of places. The first one is, in these all-in-one tanks, having a nice small compact to fit in the little nano or pico tank in the back, you know, shallow water. Sometimes, you know, you don't want, you know, it's hard to get a pump, you know, back into some of these. Sometimes the, you know, the intake is facing, you know, laterally while the output is up on some of those pumps, but, you know, then they get jammed up against the, you know, the wall, or there's just, I just think that those particular uses are definitely, definitely out there for a pump like this.
Yeah. I don't recognize the company that makes it. Do you know the brand?
It is TMC, which is, this is a, basically like a Current USA of the UK. So TMC, the company, is the largest distributor of aquarium products in the UK. So they basically, you know, white label products all the time. I think Jake says here in his article here, it's ZKSJ out of China. So for all of you guys who, you know, want to go get it on the cheap out in Alibaba or whatever, you probably can go find them out there. I'm sure that they exist out there. But it's definitely a cool little one. One of the things, too, I don't know about this one because I don't know the flow rate. What was it, 5 to 15 feet high? They have a 500 model. I don't know if that means 500 liters per hour. But I actually started feeding my calcium reactor with a pump like this, the PMUP from Neptune Systems. So that's actually what feeds my calcium reactor now. And it's been doing it for over 3 months now, and with a on-off oscillation on it, and it works like a charm.
And you haven't cleaned it?
Of course not. Don't tell Alex from ABIZ. I have an ABIZ pump that went in 7 years ago. Never been out to clean.
Never.
Never.
But when it breaks, you're going to be upset about it.
I will, and he'll say, "You never cleaned it," and I said, "Well, okay, but I need it repaired anyway."
All right.
Use me as an example.
Right. I could go somewhere. I'm going to leave that one alone for that. But so we've been talking gear.
The vertical pumps, I think, have a value. I do think that it's a design that has its place.
Yeah, and we got some comments about it. But, you know, small pumps, small all-in-one tanks, small sumps. I mean, a lot of those pumps take up a lot of space, and you're right. Then you jam them down in next to the side of the sump or the tank, and you're like, well, how much flow am I blocking off, or how quick is this going to clog? Because it's not getting as much flow into it that it needs.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We'll see where they go. See if anybody picks it up and starts, you know, making it a thing here in the U.S. or not.
I'll give it a whirl if they get it out there. Why not?
Yeah, for sure.
So we've been talking gear, but there's a new fish-ish out this week. The new fish that's been described, which I think you pointed out was, and I also, when I first saw the news story come across, because it actually came across my Apple News, it's like CNN is reporting about a fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting.
Whose picture is this? It says it's in the corner there. I can't read what it says, but this is an interesting photograph, by the way. That is the first thing I wanted to discuss. Is this really what it can look like in my tank, if I had it in my tank, number one? Or is this one of those hopped up, I want to sell coral and fish online kind of thing, you know?
All right.
Look at the eye. I mean, the eye just looks like it's like fake out of like the dollar store. It's like a dollar store, you know, fish ornament.
So the Reef to Rainforest story credits Lemon, formerly Lemon, the ichthyologist formerly known as Lemon.
Oh, it is. I can see now. I can understand what it says in the upper right. That is his photo. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a Lemon photo, and anyone who knows Lemon will know that his photos are legit. So I would not think that he photoshopped or super saturated that thing at all.
It's a little bit soft. So my thoughts is that he got a really good shot of the color, and then decided that this is really what I'm going to go with because I haven't got anything else that I've got that's sharper. Because it does look a little soft, but it's a gorgeous fish. I mean, good Lord, look at that thing.
Yeah, and before we get excited, you can't actually get that fish at the moment for your tanks because of where it was collected. Thanks to the UK having territory arguments about what was theirs and what isn't.
Oh, really? Tell us more.
Yes. Well, they said it was collected from this group of islands called I'm going to mispronounce this, Chagos Archipelago. So it's island chain 1,000 kilometers south of the Maldives. So you can't collect out there, according to the Reef to Rainforest article, because there's no legal fisheries due to the ongoing territorial dispute between the UK and Mauritius. Which is funny because Mauritius is way over there. So they can't, there's no fishery out there to get that fish. Now, when I looked at that photo, I said, oh, that looks like a red velvet fairy wrasse.
Right.
Which is one of the things they talk about. It was that we thought that what was a red velvet fairy wrasse was this thing, and it actually isn't. So by finding this fish, they were able to separate and the red velvet fairy wrasse out. And it turns out that they're two totally different things, which is pretty cool. But we can't get this for our tanks unless they find them somewhere else on an island chain, because there's no fisheries down there.
Huh. Okay. And if they do get it, this is got to be one of those like $8,000 fish, right?
I mean, that was my first thought. Was like the first person before I read the article, I was like, who's going to bring this in first?
Yeah.
And how much is it going to cost? And then how fast is the price going to drop?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, but at the moment, no, that you can't get the thing. Maybe that will change, but they also said that what we thought was the red velvet fairy wrasse is actually now a different wrasse, which was now called the Philemenma. Sorry if I'm butchering that again.
Okay.
So they changed that name as well. So it's interesting. So the real, per se, what we thought was a red velvet fairy wrasse actually isn't in the aquarium trade because it's down there in that those archipelagos where there's no fishery. So it's cool how like we thought it was this, but it's not this. It's actually this thing that's different. So we're getting that cleared up. One thing that I thought was a little interesting out of the article was Luis Rocho, I have a lot of respect for. His point was, he had some concern about that we were, and he used the word exploiting the fish for the hobby before it had a scientific name, which I was like, okay, sounds like ichthyologist talking a little bit. Not that that's bad. I just thought that was a little, I guess for tracking standpoint,
let's just say in general that I think there are super friends of the hobby in the public aquaria / whatever space, and then there are those who tolerate the hobby and those who hate the hobby. And I think he's in the middle on this one, Yeah.
And
let me ask you this question. So this picture here that I've got up, right, which is a different color version. So that is the juvenile version of it? Is that?
They did not say that. No, this just looks like a different name of it. Or sorry, a different fish. They did not say that was a juvenile.
Because the color is completely different, right? I mean, is one just terminal male and one of them is normal? Or?
I mean, and maybe that male up top was
I thought
displaying.
You were a fish expert, man. Come on.
It could be. It doesn't. I'm certainly not. If we just found out about this thing, I will say this, if that's the juvenile, which it wasn't pointed out in the article, if that's the juvie, I'd be happy getting a juvie. And then if the top is the terminal male phase, it's not like some fish where you're like, yeah, it's a juvenile, but I'm waiting for it to really be great once it becomes a terminal male. I'd be happy with the juvenile too.
Well, let me just also add for people out there, my experience with wrasses like the flame wrasse, right, and whatnot. It's great when they get to be terminal, but the word terminal has a bunch of different meanings. One of them means it's going to die.
Yeah, I get that question a lot.
So it's like, yeah, I want it to get to where it's going to have those colors like that. You're like, yeah, that's all great, but everything ends its life at some point.
And I mean, maybe that's like it gets to that phase, it gets to breed for a year because it's sexually mature, and then that's it.
Yeah, and I had a couple of really nice fish. Another Japanese named wrasse, which I can't think of the name of it. That was also really beautiful in my tank. And yeah, it was it was in terminal phase. A year and a half later, bye bye. No more. So
Who
So
knows? There's so much we don't know about the lifespan of fish. I mean, I get that question a lot. Like, client had a fish for 10 years and it suddenly dies. Like, is it at the end of its life? Like, we don't know how long they live in the
I mean,
wild. We know they die.
most of these fish experts say that in properly cared for aquariums, right? Of course, throw out the improperly cared for, mistaken stuff. The fish live longer because, you know, obviously there's no predation or other issues that are happening. So yeah, and if you want the geeky info, I did link to that also on the reefingreport.com. So if you want to find out more, the paper from the guy who did all the identification and whatnot is out there from Zoo Keys as well, and you can go and read all about all the technical information about this particular fish. So it's out there on reefingreport.com as well.
Beautiful fish. I mean,
amazing.
If we ever find one somewhere else in there, would love to have it. Of course, I want it to be a sustainable fishery. And I mean, who wouldn't want, I would be, as I tell Lemon all the time, I'd be happy to pay for a poster of that fish just to have it on the wall. But he's busy discovering new species as opposed to running an Etsy store. So maybe one day once he retires, we'll get that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Some of these fish, you know, that's where the big controversy is. Oh, you take them from the Twilight Zone and, you know, and you go over here. Why do you want to have them in your house and all of that? That's where everything starts to get all dicey, you know? So hurry up, guys, and start breeding all of these things, would you? So we can get past that and just get the crazy people that don't want you to create, you know, keep animals at all. Those people I can deal with, you know?
As Louis said in the article, like, there's so much out there we've just now discovering. Who knows what else is out there that will blow our mind. Even the Red-Velvet Fairy Wrasse is a nice wrasse to have, which is a very affordable wrasse as well. Yeah, I mean, keep finding them. Let's keep breeding them. Support captive breeding. Absolutely.
Right. And, you know, and Chris Clevin said, prior to bringing in the hobby, give it a scientific study into breeders and then sell, you know, bred, not wild caught would be ideal. Yeah, of course, that's ideal. There's no doubt. But then at the same time, and I'm not saying it's the case with this particular fish. Let's say you go and, you know, find down in a particular archipelago or whatever you pronounce it, that there's 600 million of these things in you know, swimming around. And like, you know, we take 6 or 8. I think it's going to be okay. You know?
If we do it legally and keep the powers that be happy, fantastic. The last thing we need is they stole some fish and exported them illegally, imported them illegally, and now they're breeding them to try to make money off of them. Arr.
There you go.
Don't need that story.
Here. I mean, burnt squirrel is active in the stream, man. I'm just telling you, okay? So this is a Mark question. I'll tell you why in a second. Anyone know if Neptune made the lunar cycle for the sky yet? So I think what he's alluding to is the programmable lunar cycle for doing the coral research type stuff. I have no knowledge of that. Nobody's told me otherwise. I know Rich Ross works on that stuff with Neptune. He's the best guy to ask that stuff to. I'm no longer in any of the betas or anything like that, so I wouldn't know either. So there you go.
I did find a old school black lunar sim module with, you know, the string LEDs from the early Neptune days. Found that in my garage. Doesn't work, but I still got the box if someone wants it for nostalgia.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a Pokemon card. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, you're right. You're not going to cash that one in. You're not going to grade your lunar sim module on Neptune.
There you go. All right. So did we? So I think we only got like one more thing to come back to from that we touched on last week with Greg a little bit, and today Mark was getting home, right? And so you had tank chores to do. And what did you tell me about your algae?
Oh, yeah, that hard green algae. It's not coralline algae. It's like dotted green algae. Usually ends up right in by the sand bed that you can't get off with a scraper. And I texted Terence and said, I need to go get one of those 1-inch straight blade razor blades that you can buy in like the 500 pack from AutoZone, and inch by inch go up and down my tank to get that off. Terence said, no, get yourself the new flipper, to which I was then told it's not going to be available for months. So then I was like, well, clearly I'm I'm not special anymore because Terrence got it, who has maybe 10 followers on his channel, and I didn't get one at all.
There you go. I think it's right here.
Yeah, there. You don't. I need it. Anyway. So yeah,
you're just vacationing too much, buddy. But you know, it comes in this cool little box. Let's go back to the two up here so you guys can see a little bit better. Got these new fly-ins too. It comes in this cool little box. This is the Flipper Edge Max limited edition. Okay, and
wait, are you gonna sign it? Do they sign it with a gold pin?
There's another news story for that. So what I wanted to show you guys is one of the things that they did, and because the green algae that Mark was talking about, because I've had this for a little over a week now, and I have that same green algae that comes especially on the side of the tank where the sunlight hits it, right over here next to me here. And that green stuff, I mean, you have to go at it like 15, 16 times, right, from all different angles until finally it catches, and then it comes off, and the fish like to eat it. That's the stuff, that particular type of algae, for whatever reason, they like that stuff. They come up and snarf that up. But the existing, these blades, they work, but
it worked for me. I replaced it today. Didn't make a difference.
I'm just saying they work, but the issue really isn't the blade. These particular blades, it's the Flipper Max float, I think, on a thicker glass like yours and mine. You have the float, the Flipper Max float. Is that the one you have? Yeah. So you notice it doesn't really, it really goes easily across the glass because there's not a lot of magnetic, grip, like it could have. And certainly not as much as the previous model, the one that didn't float, had more grip on the tank. And so that, helps get that blade to mash down like it should. The new one doesn't have anything except the blades hit the glass. So it literally flexes those blades. And then they use these blades that are just really sharp, thinner than, I think it's thinner than the other blades. I haven't looked, but and they're two-sided. And instead of having those stupid clips on them that are hard to get off like crazy, and you scrape your fingers on them and everything, these just slot right in. And you can even slot in a credit card too into that same slot. You can take cut a credit card in half and drop that in there if you've got the acrylic tank. And then for acrylic, they give you these that have a serrated edge on one side. I don't get that, to be honest with you. I guess maybe that's for the coral and algae somehow or another or whatever, and a flat edge on the other. But I just did it before we went on today, and I had that same green algae over here, and it didn't do it in one pass, but it didn't take 16 passes. It took like 2, okay? It took like 2 or 3, and it was gone. And that's fine with me. I'm good with that. But I just sit there like this, forever. So I don't know when it comes out exactly. You said that Ken told you that it's a couple months out
3
or something?
months.
Yeah.
I mean, why do? All right. There's two sides to that. One, if you're going to market something, don't get everyone excited and then be like, "Oh, but you can't have it." Forget about it. Just go have fun for a couple months and then come back.
What we did at Neptune all the time.
Well, I mean,
it seemed to work.
But it's an algae scraper versus a Neptune system product. Why would you get everyone excited and be like, "But you can't buy it"? Like people like throwing money at you, like, "Here, I would buy the thing today, full retail if I could."
Because the people on this stream, for instance, before they think about upgrading their algae scraper, instead of going and buy the Tunza one, they're going to go and wait, see this one at an aquarium store, or see what guys like you say about it, and then they're just gonna delay their purchase.
And okay. So then the other beef to this is no disrespect. There's nothing wrong with starting out and starting somewhere. I started somewhere too. Why would you give it to people who have not a lot of followers?
Dude,
why would you give that to people who have more?
I don't know. Maybe maybe the Reefing Report has more clout. Maybe the people who are on this stream are so awesome that they know that one of the followers of the Reefing Report, okay, is like worth like
One of the
100 of those on, the Mr. Saltwater Tank channel. Maybe that's why they know,
So
it's a
it's
demo
quantity.
thing, maybe.
It's quality, not quantity, which I'm going to leave that one alone because there's something I could say, but I won't. So
These have these cool graphic on the back side of it too, which is kind of neat, if you like that thing. Okay. I am pitching it because I love it. And they did give it to me for free. Every single flipper I've gotten, I got for free. So
like, hey, this
it's
is coming.
awesome.
We don't know when. You can't get it, but like it's going to be forgotten about.
Yeah.
And then you got to get everyone all excited again.
Look, Duke of Coral says he got 2. There you go. Mark, man. Oh, that's great. I love it.
That's how, I mean, look, not every company can be up on, who's who on the YouTube and good with marketing. It's all right. I mean, there's always an opportunity for them to learn.
It definitely is. As it said on here, and I threw it up there, you have scraper envy. Definitely have scraper.
I love it. I don't mind being the whipping boy, especially if it makes you all laugh. It's all good. Maybe I'll get one. Anyway, I've said my piece. Why would you promote it before it's available? I mean, like 2 weeks, I get it, but like months or
he
no
sent it to me
ETA.
he sent it to me to get feedback, and I said, "Can I tell people about it?" And he said, "Wait till Friday," which was last Friday. And so I slapped together a quick video on it, and because I got a channel that's going to come out with a lot more stuff sooner or later, but I'm like, why not? And there you go.
I mean, exactly. I think you said it. You slapped something together. He could have gone with a professional and had quality.
I'll tell you what, all of the people on this stream, you go out, you watch the video, okay, and subscribe to the channel if you want. But then you can give feedback later on whether or not hey, look, the audio is crap on it. Okay, I know it is compared to what I usually do, but again, I just kind of threw it together. But I think it's pretty good. So go take a look at it, and
it's all good. All right. Well,
I hope you guys enjoy that. At least it's fun,
Next week, I will be coming to you from the same state. I'll be in LA. Won't be up there with Terrence, but we will be back. Saying next Sunday, I'll be joining everyone same time. Don't forget daylight saving time. So those of you coming back,
you're gonna be in LA on Sunday.
I will be in LA on Sunday. Why don't you bring the RV down and we could do it together?
I will be in the RV in LA on Sunday. That's what it's looking like.
Well,
we didn't even cover this yet, so here we go. So yes, I am heading across the country to the MACNA event in the RV beginning next Sunday, and I like doing a 5-day across the country. And I'm going to stop at a few places. I'm probably going to stop at VCA. Maybe I'll stop at Derek's place in Arizona, and maybe Mark's place in Texas, and we'll see. So
I bet you're going to bring the scraper with you.
Simply because of you mentioning it, I probably will. And I love this. Terrence will wear the scraper as a necktie next week, so that's definitely good. So good, so good. We really appreciate all you guys watching and all of our antics, and hope that the information is good. And if it is, make sure you subscribe. Tell everybody else to subscribe. Just so you know, we've got about 750 subs, which isn't too bad. We're getting there. But it'd be nice to get to 1,000 subs, because if we get to 1,000... Oh, and by the way, if you haven't subscribed, do it like right now, because I've got a little thing on the screen that's supposed to pop up if you subscribe. So that would be really cool to see. We get to 1,000 subs. You guys can super chat us if there's something cool that you want to thank us for or whatever. And we'd love that. So... it's been fun for Mark and I to do this. It's fun for us to put the information out there, and we appreciate all of you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back next Sunday, same time. Share it out, subscribe if you haven't, and we will see you next Sunday at 7 o'clock Central. I got to get back on the right time zone here. 7 o'clock Central, 5 p.m. Pacific.
That's correct. Hopefully it'll all work out at that time. We got to make sure it does. Until then, because I haven't planned it yet. So until then, thank you guys. Somebody did just subscribe, but I didn't see it pop up. So maybe my little new alert things are not working like they're supposed to yet. So I'll have to figure that one out, and maybe have it better next week. Until next time, thanks all of you guys. We'll see you then. Take care. Oh, wait, I got to hit the right outro. I almost hit the finish.